And these days, it seemed like it all died, with the end of the 60s. Uh, but it'll come back. And I felt a little bit of that spirit, with Kamala Harris. I get carried away because I'm just a naive romantic myself, but I hadn't felt that way since JFK and Bobby. Hope. I know she's an idiot, and 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 she doesn't have anything that the Kennedys had back then. But maybe her vice president does, because he's a character. I love him. And then lived to see the first African American president. God, was he wonderful. 2 terms. Wasn't a fluke. He elected 2 terms. Uh, and I'm feeling that same sense of hope from Kamala. And I know it's totally misplaced, but perhaps she'll inspire people. Or she'll be inspired enough to bring in what JFK did. The best and the brightest, and that we can look forward with excitement and confidence and hope.
Does it feel like because she will be our first woman president,
yes,
that's kind
yes.
of the romantic feeling? Yeah.
Yes, yes, it is. And it's always the Democratic Party that has these firsts. And I wish we had the old Republican Party back, because they kept us uh, they kept us in line. The people like me who just are just so Pollyannic about the future. The old Republican Party they were like the governor on an engine. They keep you on the tracks. They keep you going the proper speed. But now they're just gone. And I don't want to use the F word, fascist.
Here I am, I'm getting ready practically to fire this guy, and you keep interrupting me. You know what, Summer, you're fired.
I loved The Apprentice. Trump has a charisma too, and he's funny as hell. He's great entertainment, and I think that's a big part of the appeal is, of course, I can think of plenty of American leaders who had great charisma, like old Ronnie Reagan. Doesn't matter, what you thought about his politics. If you hated everything he did and stood for, you couldn't hate Ronnie. I don't know.
As
Never
you
thought I'd
said,
see people attacking.
as you said, he is like he's a great entertainer. As you said when he was on The Apprentice. And it's true. So I think like he brings a little bit too much of that into this really serious space, which is, running for president, that his I think of him almost as like a stand-up comic. He's very good. He's very funny. He's very good like that.
Yes.
And
oh, he's incredible entertainment. If only we wasn't in. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So sometimes I think that some of the rhetoric is not really to be taken so seriously, because some of the things that he's actually done doesn't line up with such the bombastic kind of rhetoric that's come out of his mouth. For example,
well, that's true.
Yeah, he used to say, lock up Hillary, right? Lock her up or something. Well, once, he never did anything like that.
Yeah.
He didn't even try.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, I think he is such an entertainer to his bones. He just kind of says things, but I don't think he's quite as harmful as maybe the media makes him out to be. And then, it trickles down to everybody, thinking he's going to be the next Hitler. I don't quite feel that way about him.
I think he is dangerous, and January 6th proved it. A lot of it is just it's his personality, and he likes to get people wound up, and he's always been Don the Con. I think you're right. He's not as dangerous as some people might fear that he would be. but he's brought out the worst in people.
I feel like he was maybe more so like that, but I do see something a little bit different now, and I'll tell you why. Just because, the independent candidate, Bobby Kennedy Jr., Trump has gotten Tulsi Gabbard and Bobby Kennedy Jr. to be part of his transition team, which means, helping to appoint the people that will be governing should he become president. Now, what I think is good about that is that I know for Bobby Kennedy Jr., and one of the reasons that I really love him as a candidate is that he's been fighting big corporations that have
Yes,
all of his career, which is really stems back to the 1980s, and he's been very successful with it. So he's sued these big corporations, he's won lawsuits, and he's been doing it consistently. And so I feel like that's a really positive thing. And the fact that Trump during this go around, that he is embracing Kennedy and wants him to be part of the health sector of the government, I think that's positive.
I brought hundreds of cases against companies like Mobil and Exxon and Chevron and Texaco to restore the Hudson River. Today, the Hudson River is an international model for ecosystem protection. I sued DuPont, Mitsubishi, and Ford to force them to clean up chemical spills. I sued Monsanto on behalf of farm workers and home gardeners and families who develop cancer from using their pesticides.
That's one little saving grace.
that's true.
To,
And I love the Kennedys. They've done so many wonderful things and continue to do so. And although I personally think that Bobby Kennedy Jr. is just a little confused, I still love him and respect him because he's part of that great legacy.
I don't know, it's like it's almost upside down world. It seems things have just like you don't know what to believe. You don't know what's right, what's wrong, what's true, what's fact, what's fiction.